enjoy your regularly scheduled program here at An Angel's Destiny. My name is Destiny Angel. First name is with 2 I's and no Y. And I've already started my retie. Last night I got this front done and tied away. And today I just wanted to show you guys how to retie microlocs. So if you get smaller locks, you can always maintain them yourself. So this will come in handy if your loctician is ever in a bind and you can't get to them for one reason or another. You won't have to worry about the integrity and health of your locks because you will have the ability to maintain them. B, this will save money. You will always have the option to save money in payment of time because this does take a longer time to do. I mean, it does take a longer time to do. You're going to have to invest more time rather than money. So if one ever becomes more limited than the other, you will have the choice of which to spend on your hair. And this will help you no matter what situations or circumstances arises, that you will not have to worry about your hair, and you can go on knowing that you still have beautiful locks on top of your head that won't be falling off the bone. And thirdly, I love having this skill because I am in control of how every single lock is retied in. I get to visually see every single lock. If there's a hole or anything, I can make it appear immediately. I can see the state of my locks always, and I am in control of, say, how tight I do it. So I'm always comfortable. I'm in control of how I pull apart locks, so I can do that the most comfortable way for me as well. And I usually will have more time than, say, a loctician that their pay is based on the number of heads they do. So I will always be more gentle and take more time on my head than probably any loctician that's doing it for a job. So those are just some of the reasons that I love to self-maintain and why I'm really passionate and excited to show others how to self-maintain. Okay, we're in the living room with it, and this is my usual setup for every retie day. I try to retie every 6 months is my goal schedule, but I'm not gonna lie, sometimes I do be hitting 8 weeks, not 6 months. Okay, no, we don't have traditional locks over here. 6 weeks. 6 weeks is what I try to maintain my schedule on. But as I was saying before, I'm not gonna lie, sometimes it do hit that 8 week, but so far I have not let it go past 8 weeks, or that would also be 2 months without self-maintaining my hair. And if I do miss the 6 week mark, I usually do always do the front of my hair at 6 weeks, just because that is where the more fine hairs are that are more easily breakable. So let me explain my setup. I have this ring light over here, and that's to put light on top of my head so it's easier to see. I have very dark hair, so if I don't have like very good light, it's hard to see all the way to the scalp, and it's hard to see like what all hairs are connected together. So I like having a ring light to put light on top of my head. A little chair. That chair actually looks so mad uncomfortable. I haven't realized that before, but I could put like a cushion on it. I'm just now realizing how uncomfortable that little chair look. Okay, here's my tools. I get a water bottle for locks that don't want to be pulled apart. And this is my little kit. This is what I use to pull hairs. Like if I have a really fuzzy lock, I will pull hairs, try to back into the lock. And if I pass by a lock that's like that, I will definitely show you guys how I do that. And the main tools I like to use is tools like this, enclosed tools. So they have a little loop that you put your hair through here, and the point that you make your directions with, and that will make more sense later on, but this is what my tool does look like. Let me see. I had a secondary tool. Oh, I thought I there, but I'm not really seeing it here right now. Oh, there we go. This is called the London's Lock tool. And how you do this one is, I like using these for like shorter locks at the front, is you push down on that top latch and you hook your hair in through the top, and you are going to continue retying that way, and I will show you guys how I use this tool as well. If I had to choose favorites, I will say my favorite is definitely just the more common enclosed loop tool versus the London locks, just because this little hook at the end, sometimes it catches when I'm getting close to the scalp, and I feel like I can get comfortably closer to the scalp with the other tool. Okay, so how to start, what I usually do is I pull all my hair up into a bun, as you can see, so that I have clear sight of where I'm walking at. And just for comparison, this is the lighting with my ring light on. I can clearly see the separation between the locks. I can clearly see to my scalp. And for comparison, this is it with the ring light off. So that's with the ring light off. It throws us totally into darkness with the hair, because I already have like really dark hair, so when it's all bunched together, it is like not showing nothing to the scalp. Like, it's very hard to see the separation of the lock. So that is why I love the addition of the ring light for self-maintaining. Or I guess if your living room is might be lit up enough, it could also work, but work at any hours. Like if you get in from work and it's already dark outside, you can knock out maybe 2 hours of retightening, even if it's dark outside, with a ring light. And we are back in the light, we are back with sight. And how I'm going to start is I take my tool, I overlay it on top of the lock, I use my thumb and I just push it through, pull it. It's in the big section, and what I do is I just pull it to the small section, and you can see when I let go, the tool stays right there. I'm not losing that mug. It's gonna stay right there, and I don't have to worry about it moving up and down the lock. So how I'm gonna start is I'm gonna start going from the left section of the lock to the right section of the lock. I imagine the base of my lock as like a square. So if I imagine it like a square, it's 4 sides that make up the base of the lock. The side I'm gonna start with is I'm gonna go in from the right. I'm gonna push that tool all the way to the base till it won't let me go any further up the lock, and I'm going to pull through completely. I wanna make sure that pull through is nice and tight and it is completely pulled through, because if you have loose pull throughs or pull throughs that don't go through all the way, that will create knots in your lock, and that will sacrifice the integrity of your lock, which in the long term will not be promoting good health for your hair. So because I went from the right to left, my next direction, because I go clockwise, so if you imagine the face of the clock, I'm going in this direction. I'm going in this direction. So I already did this side, so the next side for me to go through is from the bottom. Make sure I'm in the center of that base, because if you have significantly more hair on one side of the tool than the other, that will also sacrifice integrity of your lock, because you will have if the few hairs on one of the sides break, that will pretty much negate that pull through for your lock, and that will sacrifice the integrity of the hair. So I'm going to start going from the left, my next side of my lock. also sacrifice the strength and integrity of your lock if you don't go through the middle, the base of your lock. Now, my next side is I'm going from the top. Now this one, I'll have space for another rotation, one rotation, since we are doing the 4-point rotation, which also means that we are going in 4 entry points of the lock. We're going all the way around the lock. I'm just going to start over from the position I started with and continue. And that completes that lock. That lock is completely retied. It is comfortably to the scalp. I don't go till when I make an entry point, if at the widest base of this tool, if it's feeling tight or it's feeling like I'm forcing it through, I just take it back out and I leave that lock as done, because we don't want it to be uncomfortably tight, because if you do your retie super tight to the scalp, you are at risk of gaining traction alopecia, and that is something we do not want to do. So let me just continue with the next lock. Gently pull it apart till it stands alone. Push it through the big gap in the tool, and I push it to a small gap so that it hangs, and it is on there securely. I'm going to start going from right. So that lock, gotta pull that out. All the way to you can't go anymore. Pull and complete. We're going to go to the bottom since we're going in a clockwise direction. The next side is the left. Make sure we're going through the center of that base. So I try to be gentle, but I ended up snapping anyways. Sometimes they don't want to come apart. Next side, top. I have some more space. I'm going to start the rotation again. Okay, now I feel like I'll only have one more pull through till this lock is done. What I'm going to do now, because I always like ending my locks going from the top to the bottom, because whatever direction you end your rotation on is the direction your lock is going to lay. Like, I don't know if you can tell right now, if I let this one go, it is leaning more towards the left, because that's the direction I ended my rotation on. So I like ending my rotation going from top to bottom just for aesthetic reasons, for it to lay flatter, purely for aesthetic reasons. So because my last pull through was from the right going to the left, what I'm going to do is I'm going to jump all the way to the rotation that I want to end on, since this will be my last pull through. So I'm going to jump all the way to the top, and I'm going to pull bottom. So that is the lock direction I want it to lay, and it's going to lay completely flat now. With that being said, I'm going to grab this next one. That one's more in the middle of a row, so I'm going to grab this one that's on the outside. Just pull those apart. Stick them back in front. With that being said, the next thing I want you guys to be aware of is the way I start every time on the lock is I always start going from right to left. Another way of saying that is I always start the direction of the lock going in a horizontal line, a horizontal plane. I do that because all my endings of my locks, every lock I want to end, I want it going vertical. I want my lock to end going in a vertical plane. That means either my last pull through, I want it going from top to bottom, or bottom to top. I just for aesthetic reasons, I prefer it going from top to bottom. But the reason I put emphasis on which direction I always end on and which direction I always start on is because if you continuously pull the lock through a horizontal plane, for example, if you continuously pull from right to left and then do right to left again and then do right to left again, or if you do right to left and then left to right to left and then pull through again left to right, going the same direction multiple times, such as going horizontally multiple times, that will create holes in your locks, and holes will be very detrimental to the integrity and the health of your lock. So we want to avoid holes. That is why whenever you go from right to left, your very next direction has to either be from bottom to top or top to bottom. So if I go from right to left or left to right, my very next direction needs to be going vertically. Either way, up or down. My next direction just needs to be going vertically. So good. So I just ran vertically, that means I cannot go vertically again. So just because I went bottom to top, my next pull through cannot be top to bottom. It must be going horizontally. I'm only going to get 2 more pull throughs, so I'm going to start the rotation over. But I'm going to, because I went horizontally, I can jump to going vertically, top to bottom, for the direction I want it to lay. And that is that lock done. Sometimes the hairs smoothly pull out of the lock they don't belong to, and sometimes they'll just pull apart where you want to pull apart. So I will just demonstrate again. Start going in from the right. is not a huge importance to me. I like being able to just move throughout my head and save a little bit of time. A super clean grid is not a huge importance to me. However, if it is important to you, you will then use clips such as these, regular hair clips, to lock off and isolate each lock to itself so that you can very cleanly retie that lock. And as you can see, I don't focus hugely on that. Like even these two, there's a small strand of hair right there. However, that does not bother me as they grow out. As these two locks grow out, that hair will probably pull apart by itself as I'm styling and I'm going about my day, or if I come back next retie and they're still tied together, I will take my time to pull these apart if it is a big connection. However, small connection with fine hairs do not bother me in the slightest, so I just continue going along my retie. Pull this one from the bun, push it through the big loop of our tool, pull it to the smaller section so it is on there. It's on there, I'm not going nowhere. About that, I'm gonna just keep going. Maybe 2 more rotations, so I'm going to start over at our beginning entry. And because that was a horizontal direction, I can jump to where I want the lock to lay, which is going from top to bottom. And I can finish on a vertical entry so that I know whenever I start my next retie, I can always start going in from a horizontal way. I can always start going from right to left. And no, I'm not creating, and so that I know I'm not creating any holes in my locks. Oh, this will be a good one to see. Because these ones on the side are small. So I shall demonstrate one more time. Till it stops. Till your tool can't go anymore. Continue clockwise. to show you guys is that sometimes when I don't remember what direction I ended on, or if something happens where I stopped in the middle of a rotation and I came back and I don't remember which direction I ended on, and I'll just choose a direction going horizontally or vertical. Sometimes I'll be going through my locks and I do see the occasional hole. Not very often, but occasionally I will see a little hole. Say if I take this lock and I pull the two ends closer together, and in the middle it would reveal a hole opening right here. How I fix holes is, okay, imagine there's a hole in the middle of this lock, and I'm sorry, it would be easier to if I could find one, and it would be easier to demonstrate, but I hope this makes sense. If I saw a hole in the middle of my lock, I close the lock up, it would reveal more clearly where the hole is. The two sides that make up the hole, I would want to have my tool and I would want to go through the two sides. So again, I'm not going in the opening of the hole, the big opening of the hole. I'm going in dissecting the two sides that make up the hole. So I would go in, have my tool go in between the two sides, and I would pull through. And what I found is one pull through usually closes the hole, but sometimes if you see that it doesn't completely close the hole, I go in from underneath the lock, going in from another direction. I go in, but again between the two sides of the hole, dissecting the two sides of the hole, and I pull through, going in the upwards direction, and I keep going in those two directions from the side and from up until that hole is completely closed up. So I'm repeating our directions here, and I'm just repeating them in the middle of the lock. I would just take my tool and I would enter in the middle where the hole is, and I would pull through until the hole is closed up. I hope that made sense, but I know that was a kind of weak explanation since I don't really have a good demonstration here. Another thing that I wanted to show you guys was, hold on, I thought I felt a two-headed dragon, but say, okay, I'm trying to find a really fuzzy one. So I don't see a super fuzzy one, but if I did find a super fuzzy one, I would take this tool. It's a little hook on the end of this tool. This is 0.75 millimeters. See that? 0.75 millimeters. And what I would do here is I would take this tool and I would make sure it goes in the lock. You see that it's in the lock? It's completely in the lock. And I would do this motion right here to pull stray hairs back into the lock, and I also do this when I see a weak point in the lock and I want to close up that weak point with the two stronger ends of the lock. So I do this movement. I'm rotating the tool, and I feel as I'm grabbing hairs and I'm pulling it back into the main body of the lock. And I keep doing that until I feel like I have thickened up a weak spot, or until the fuzziness dissipates. So this is the motion I do while being inside the lock, and it will grab straight hairs and pull it back inside the lock. So that's a little taming skill, a little taming technique. showing the motion for a little bit longer, so visual learners this can be really helpful to visual learners as well, without talking. I saw from other videos this trick to neatly see the back of your head. So I just haven't had a reason to buy one. However, I do think it would be a good purchase for so you could do it anywhere if you're not at your home. A good purchase to if you wanted to do your retie anywhere if you're not at your home and not where your facilities are. But the way I see the back of my head clearly on the big screen TV is I use my iPhone and I screen share my phone's screen to the smart TV. So I think a lot of people might already have a smart TV and a lot of people probably already have an iPhone. So this is a really cool trick to see the back of your head very easily, so you don't have any chances of combining logs that you don't want to combine because you have clear sight. Another cool trick is that you want to go back into your settings, and you're going to want to go to display and brightness, and there you can set your phone to auto lock never. You could just set it to never lock down without anyone touching it, so that your phone will continuously run and you can show yourself on camera from the back of your head for as long as you need to for your retightening session. So that way your phone won't just shut off on you, because you know when you're not touching your phone for a X amount of time, like a minute or two, it shuts down the screen to save on battery power. For this, you want to go into your settings and change that to never lock down, never auto lock. So those are really cool tricks to get your retie done very easily and the most comfortably. Another trick is I do like starting in the back, because when I put my hair into a bun, I can just very easily pull the next lock out, and I don't use clips, and I just keep going until I'm done. And this trick I love, because if I didn't do the front and I just started straight from the back, is that I can stop virtually at any point in my retie, and I can still look presentable to go outside, not look crazy to go outside, because I will just have a half up, half down style to anyone that sees me outside. I will just have what's not finished into a bun at the top of my head, and then the rest will be laying down that is done. So it will just look like a normal style to somebody going outside, so I don't have to completely stop any outside excursion for if I'm in the middle of a retie. So I really love doing it this way, starting from the bottom and putting my hair in a bun, because it does not constrict on maybe surrounding activities that you're wanting to do while you're getting your retie done. I also think it makes you go faster when you don't use clips. I feel like it allows you to get your retie done faster, so that's why I also enjoy doing it like that. And I'm just able to pull and go. There was very little downtime between locks, so I'm really able to work quite efficiently. So this is how I always like to start my setup for my lock reties. Thank you guys for spending some time with me. I hope I was helpful to you in some way. If there was any parts that were confusing or it was hard to follow, please let me know, and I will try to explain it again in a different way and explain it more clearly. If you have any questions, please let me know in the comments. The more you do it, the more monotonous it is, the more just like you can do it without consciously thinking about it. Your hands just kind of go. It really is the great thing about it is it really is a simple movement. It's just the going around the lock and going into those 4 entry points and pulling through. And so it's just something that you have to do on, say, like 300, 400 times over. So that is where the time comes in at. That's where the hard part comes in at. But thank you guys for spending some time, and I really do hope I helped you in